Okay, so the next step is going to be to attach the interior bottom that I just now cut to the interior mains. So I'm just marking all 4 of my corners here. And then we need to clip it to this section here. I am going to trim down my seam allowances first. And so because I am using waxed canvas, I am not going to worry myself with the, with interfacing this piece, because I'm going for the non-structured structured look. So I'm just going to match up my side seams and clip. I'm going to butterfly this open because why not? So butterfly that open and then start clipping. And the pattern doesn't call for this, but I'm gonna leave a birthing hole in this section of the pattern. And then I'll go back, I'll pull it through the interior pocket and stitch this side up, and then I'll stitch up the pocket, just because this will be a much bigger birthing hole than what I get from the pocket. And I just think it'll be easier. So we're gonna go for it. And if you find that your base is not fitting, you can go back and tighten up the bottom side seams here if the base is too small, which it kind of seems like is happening a little bit with me. But we're gonna try to see if I can't ease it all in. You can also snip into the curves and it'll make this process easier. It seems like I was able to ease it in pretty well. I just have to move it around. But so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and I'm gonna stitch, and I'm gonna leave a birthing hole on one of these long straight edges. So probably about 2, 4, 6, about 7 inches wide. Let's go. Okay, so with the base down, I'm gonna start stitching here at a side seam and just slowly inch my way around. And I'm gonna make this seam allowance wider than what I'm gonna do for the exterior base, because I want it to nest nicely inside the bag. So I'm doing about 5/8 seam allowance here. I should have started at where I'm going to leave the birthing hole. This actually does seem a little bit too big, so I'm going to tighten this side edge up just a touch, just to make it fit a little bit. soon as I hit the straight edge, I'm going to stop and sew off to create that birthing hole here. Sorry if you can't see what I'm doing. Let's see, so I sewed off with a little L shape, and that'll help later when turning. Now for some reason, even though I had it all eased in, it's wanting to act like it's still too small. So I'm just gonna repin or reclip it and see what's going on before I keep sewing. So yeah, it's definitely a little big. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna unpick these side seam stitches and bring this seam in to make the lining a little bit smaller. So I'm just gonna fold this like so, and then I'm gonna just bring this side seam in to help with this issue. Hopefully that does it. So let's try reclipping again and we'll see where we're at. Oops, just broke that clip. Okay, it's definitely a little better. So now I'm just gonna actually start from here and sew my little L and around this back curve back here. This is still a little too big. So the good part about bag making is you can always make adjustments as you go. There we go. Okay, so let's finish this up. Now we have it all sewn up, and then I have my birthing hole here. So now we're going to go back over to the other side of the table and we are going to clip in our exterior base. So before we move on, I just wanted to show you the important part of getting this base in is you don't want any wrinkles. So you want to be sure that as you're sewing it, you're maneuvering and stretching and kind of pulling and realigning your pieces as needed so that you don't get any puckers in your material. I'm going to trim this down. And then for the fun part, we get to clip this guy in. So make sure your main zipper is unzipped so that you don't get jammed up after we get this sewn together. All my clips are mixed up. There we go. This one seems just a little off for some reason. I might have to tighten this side seam just like I had to do on the lining. Yep, so you can see I've got some pretty big gappage there. So I'm gonna go and pull this side seam in along with this one as well, so that it's even on both sides, because you don't want your bag to be sitting askew once it's done. So I'm gonna go sew these in a little bit. I'll be right back. Okay, so I tapered it and I was doing just a quick dry fit. Seems like it's gonna work, so we're gonna keep clipping. Oh yeah. Okay, so we've got this one all eased in. I had to take off, it was probably about total a 1/2 inch. I started about here and just tapered it in. And now we are good to go. So I'm gonna go back over to the machine and I'm gonna stitch all the way around this bottom, just outside of this foam. I don't wanna catch the foam in the seam. right, so I kind of had a hard time over this little area where I had to add that strap connector there. It did not like that area, so you could see I had to go over it several times. Broken needle, so that's awesome. Okay, but we're done now, so I'm just gonna trim this bottom down, and then we get to flip it. Okay, so we've got it all flipped. And now, just want to check on the fit. It feels pretty good down in there. You can see it's cool because it's got like the alternating base, the two-tone color. I love that Fabric Funhouse has matching matching wax canvas to the matching side leather. So now what we need to do is we're going to pull up this birthing hole through the pocket, and we need to sew this together to close up the birthing hole that's in the base of the bag. So clippity-doo-dah all the way around. Now I'm going to pop back to the machine. I'm going to stitch this closed, and then I'm going to go ahead and stitch closed the pocket as well. So I'm just going to trim this down before pulling it back through. Tuck that back in through the pocket. And then now we need to close up the pocket hole. Okay, there we go. See, I kind of like it better, like having two tails on the bag, because then the whole top would be nice and open. I mean, I know that whenever I add the hardware over here, it will impede that, so maybe it won't matter in the end, but it just feels restricted because of this tab here. And in the original pattern, she has to do tabs on both sides. So I guess it's really just a matter of personal preference. But I've gotten so used to doing zipper tabs, I really like it when both sides of the bag open. If this hadn't have been a metal zipper, I would have just tucked it and did like the 90-degree turn, and then it still would have opened all the way. But because of the metal teeth, it makes it a little bit harder. All right, so now we just need to add our strap connectors on the top up here, and then we get to work on the straps.